Hello and thanks for tuning in to 𝐾𝐤𝐴 TV. James Preston with you live from 𝐾𝐤𝐴 Studios in Sydney. And in this edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks, 𝐾𝐤𝐴 is eating a bag of cement and toughening up. Or perhaps that should be taking a look, should I say, at the concrete industry and specifically concrete broker. Concrete Broker connects over 1,300 separate occupations, product suppliers and service providers within the concrete and concrete-related industries. And Tim Harrison, the spokesperson for Concrete Broker, joins me live now. Tim, a very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. It's a quiet day here in the city, but of course business never stops. We know that, and I'm sure it's another busy day for you at Concrete Broker too. So let's get straight into it. How can product suppliers and service providers in the concrete-related industries join your network, and what are the advantages of doing that?
Basically, it's simple. You go to our site, concretebroker.com, and on the top right-hand side, you'll see the tab that says Join Here. And you click on there and you start to list your business, your ABN number or your business number, depending on where you are in the world. It could even be your VAT number. And then as you move down, you list your products and your services, the locations that you service, and also some photos and videos of recent projects that you may have done. So it's a fantastic way to reach out to other businesses, not only in the concrete industry, but just to the consumers in the public who want to buy concrete, whether they be builders or just individuals who are doing a pathway, a footpath, a driveway. Any of those people, you can reach out to them with your products and your services. So, on Concrete Broker, we have people that may be selling trowels, they may be selling concrete pumps, they may be selling their services as a concreter. So it's a way of really reaching out to people in the industry and also the public, connecting with them and selling your wares.
It's a really interesting concept. To me, it kind of sounds a bit like Pinterest, but specifically for that sort of concreting industry and the related industries. How did the concept first emerge?
Well, I'd had a lot of experience in the concrete industry and also online, but what I found was what we needed to do was connect with people who were saying to us, hey, I need concrete, but how do I find the best supplier? Or I need to find a trowel, but how do I find the best trowel? So you would know of things such as choice, where you get a choice, they review different products. We have a ratings and review system that reviews different product providers, so the public can come online and make an informed decision, have a look at the projects that customer has done, but also look at ratings and reviews of their business. So basically it was a way of saying, I don't really know how to buy concrete. I don't know how much I need. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know what mix design I need. It was a really information platform to give all the people the information that they needed to make a calculated decision when it came to buying concrete or concrete products and services.
And the people using your services, is it typically tradies or is it those kind of people that might not have any clue at all, so they head across there and they have a look at, that driveway looks spectacular, I want to emulate that kind of result? Who tends to use the platform mostly?
Well, as an example at the moment, we're selling to builders in Melbourne and in Sydney. We're selling to electricians, to landscapers, but also to the general public who may need to do, as I said, a footpath. So it's really a cross-section of people. But keep in mind, concretebroker.com is a worldwide platform. So whilst we have concrete suppliers and concrete providers in Sydney and Melbourne, we have Gotham Concrete in New York, we have Express Concrete in London, we have RDC Concrete in India. All of these people have their own homepage on Concrete Broker and can reach out to people within their own communities.
So how does the ratings and review system work in that respect then? So once the job's been posted, can it be like upvoted? Is it similar to Reddit in that fashion?
No, it isn't really. It's just really, what we find is that, online reviews are the biggest source of social proof and they have a clear impact on sales. So our ratings and reviews form an integral part of the Concrete Broker network. And we love getting feedback on people's experiences with our member businesses. So if it's been a decorative driveway or a stamped concrete or coloured concrete, people may go online and they may then review that concreter that placed that concrete or review the supplier that supplied it and I mean, sometimes it's a good review, as you can appreciate. Sometimes it's, well, the truck was 30 minutes late, I wouldn't use that provider again. So it's just really similar to the Google rating and review system that you'd know on Google or most of the platforms around the world. But there's no upvoting at the moment, and there's actually no ability to dislike. But what there is the ability to do is to give it a 1 or a 2-star rating. So we have a business, I noticed today, coming on our platform, Arrow Concrete Cutting, and we would ask people that have used Arrow Concrete Cutting to go out and say, how did you find the service? And not only give it a rating, say 4 out of 5, but give us a review as well.
Now, one thing I'm always personally quite wary of when I'm looking at something like a Google review is there legitimacy behind the review? Obviously, you can head across to Fiverr or whatever else, and you can try and buy people to leave a positive review for your company. I was in the market for a new car recently, and there was a bunch of good reviews for a dealer that didn't have the greatest reputation upon talking to other people that actually purchased with him. Do you have any sort of checks and balances for people that put reviews on the site? Do they have to be legitimate customers, for example?
Yeah, they do. I mean, we have significant checks and balances because that's one of the things that we were wary of. I mean, so we've got terms and conditions that apply to people that make reviews, and you really have to be a member to make a review. And when you come on as a member, you agree to those terms and conditions. So, and we've also got a time lag. We actually vet the reviews. So, I mean, it's difficult to say, but I mean, we've got a lag of probably an hour or 2 hours when we vet that review before we post it on the site.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's ensuring that you've got high quality products, high quality reviews. So, mate, I think that's a fantastic addition to what you're doing. Now, let's just shift gears a little bit here to more of a finance perspective. Why has merger and acquisition activity in the cement and concrete products market been at a high in the last 3 years? And do you think that trend is likely to continue?
Look, I think globally we're seeing the cement market and the concrete market more specifically grow at calendar annual growth rates of probably 7.2% around the world. So as you can understand, that's much higher than traditional GDP rates and growth rates around the world. So the demand for concrete is increasing. The demand for cement is increasing. But more importantly, we're living in pretty much a fragmented concrete market. I mean, probably as an example, 40% of the world's concrete market is controlled by about 10 different companies. So what those companies are looking to do is similar to, say, I mean, the big pharma market that we're seeing at the moment. They're looking at really increasing their market share and taking over smaller players to really increase that ability to reach out with their cement and their aggregate products. Now, it's probably more noticeable in the concrete industry at the moment because there's a lot of obsolete plant and equipment in that industry that needs to upgrade. And also there's an extensive amount of quality assurance that companies need to follow. So as a consequence, small players are getting beaten down and thrown out of the market by big players who are coming over the top of them with the capital that they need to survive in the industry. To give you an example, that industry RDC, that company RDC Concrete in India, that's a concrete broker member, they've had a calendar annual growth rate of 38% year on year. And they're increasing their concrete plant numbers from 10 to 20 to 30 to 52 a year. And they're doing that because small players just don't have the money to upgrade their concrete plant, to upgrade their infrastructure, to ensure that they have adequate quality assurance. So basically it's a situation where these big companies like Heidelberg Cement, Holcim Lafarge we see in Australia are acquiring these smaller players who don't have the money to go out and buy 10 concrete trucks at a cost of $2 million, to buy a concrete plant at a cost of $10 million and then survive.
So is that a key goal of Concrete Broker, is to try and, I suppose, push forward some of those smaller players? Is that something you try to advocate for?
Well, look, I mean, competition in the industry is healthy, but the difficulty we're finding in the concrete industry is that the large companies are swallowing up the small ones and we don't really get much choice. So as an example, in the Australian concrete market, it's very hard for those independents to reach out and gain market share because the large companies, the Holcims, the Borrells and the Hansons, they have the call centres, they have the infrastructure, they have everything behind them. And that's not necessarily good for the consumer. So what we are trying to do is promote those smaller independent companies, such as Gotham in New York, Express Concrete in London, RDC in India. We are looking at promoting independent companies, but at the same time, we do realise and recognise the need for the larger companies in the market. The issue being that, a lot of the larger companies control both the aggregate side of the industry, which is providing the rock and the sand, as well as providing the cement. So to give you an example, if a large company such as Boral is selling a significant amount of rock and sand, they might not necessarily need to make a big profit on their cement prices or their concrete prices, and they may lower their concrete price to then move more rock and move more sand, and in doing so, price out smaller players by reducing their cost base and reducing their price to the consumer, and therefore, as a consequence, the independent player is priced out, he can't sell concrete, and he all of a sudden, moves out of business and is taken over by a larger player. So yes, a concrete broker, what we're looking at doing is helping those small independent providers get online and get market share.
Yeah, I like that. It's a great initiative that you guys are making. Let's just also have a little look in terms of, we were talking a little bit earlier about the expected growth rates and the fact that it continues to build and build. We've seen over in China, for example, a huge demand for iron ore, which has then sent the commodity price soaring on the stock exchange. So are we seeing similar things happening there for concrete as well? Do you expect that growth globally will continue to go through the roof?
Look, I don't know if it'll go through the roof. I mean, say if you're looking at, for example, thermal coal's gone from $50 US a tonne, I think today, to $107 or $127. I mean, you're talking about a 100% increase. It's not going to be that much of a growth rate, but it will continue to grow, as I said, at rates of around 7% per annum to 8% per annum. Basically, to give you an idea, the global market was valued at $1,600 billion US in 2020, and that's estimated, as I said, to grow by 2027 at a rate of 6.23% per annum. Now, these are big numbers. The ready-mix market in the world is anticipated to grow by 8.7%. But there's a number of reasons for that as well. A lot of the companies are actually moving towards green concrete, eco-friendly products, adding fly ash and slag, and different additives to their concrete to reduce their emissions. So that's also increasing the demand for concrete as well. So, I mean, as we move into this greener world, we're seeing concrete having to change as well. I mean, concrete's one of the largest emitters, concrete cement. So there's really an incentive for those providers to turn green, for want of a better phrase. And if they can do that, and how will they do that in the coming 5 to 7 years, will hopefully mean that they can continue to grow at 6 to 7% per annum. But, I mean, the growth is being fueled by a rise in urbanisation around the world. I mean, we're seeing relatively low interest rates and inflation. I mean, the construction industry is obviously benefiting from that. And the construction industry is one of the largest purchasers of cement and concrete. So we would anticipate that will continue, as I said, for the next 5 to 7 years.
Well, look, we also had the New South Wales budget drop not long ago, and as part of that, there was a significant investment moving forward in infrastructure. Part of that was to try and get the economy stimulated again with COVID-19 having impacted so much, and obviously one way to do that is to build more, to get more people into jobs. Did you see any additional spikes in the concrete stocks in general when that announcement was made from the government?
Look, 100%. I mean, we're purchasing a lot of our company off an affiliated company called Concrete Shopper. Concrete Shopper is, to fill you in, it's a company that I founded that ostensibly provides people with competitive prices on concrete throughout Australia, be it Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne or Perth. And they are, using the suppliers Holcim, Hanson, Boral, the ones I mentioned before, but as well as the smaller independent suppliers around Australia. Concrete Shopper has seen the sale of concrete grow, despite COVID, by up to 20 to 30 to 40% per month.
Wow.
So people are obviously staying at home. They're saying to themselves, I'm at home now, I can't go out, I don't have the money that I previously spent going to a restaurant on travel. The concrete industry is still operating, it's still seen as an essential industry. So we're seeing people putting that new driveway in, that coloured driveway. They're putting in the shed that they always wanted to put in. They're upgrading their footpath. They're putting a gazebo in the back of their house. And also, smaller builders are seeing people wanting to buy, to put in granny flats at the back of their residences, because obviously the property prices have increased, and it's a way of, increasing capital in their building. So in answer to your question, we've seen a huge increase in the supply of concrete, to such an extent that it's very difficult to get a concrete truck when you need one at the moment. You might have to book a week ahead, which is crazy when you think of, how other people are suffering in the current economy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the phrase unprecedented has been used a lot in the last 12 months. I dare say not being able to get a concrete truck for up to a week, that's pretty much an unprecedented event in the industry too. Now, Tim, just before I let you go, what is the near-term plan for Concrete Broker moving forward?
Look, it's pretty exciting. We've just had a meeting with a company. We went to Web Summit in Portugal, and we met with a company called Safi Engineering, and we're looking at creating an online shopping network in addition to our directory. In 2019, we trialled concretingshop.com, and basically we got online a lot of suppliers from Europe and Asia to sell their concreting products. It's a B2B, B2C platform where we're selling products around the world. So, for example, you might be a concrete supplier that wants to buy 100 trowels, and those trowels you might be able to purchase them on our new site, Concrete Markets, for say $10, and they might be sold retail to the individual customer for $20. So we're starting a B2B, B2C platform, and we're looking at calling it Concrete Markets, which is combining both product and service providers as well as our directory. And that's what we're looking at doing. Some other initiatives, we've just entered into an agreement or a partnership with Finstro, the trade finance provider, similar to like an Afterpay or a Zip Money for concrete, so people can purchase their concrete and pay it off over a 6-month period. That's another initiative we're looking at doing. And just before I finish, a third thing we're looking at doing is extending our concrete shopper around the world, so that those companies I talked about before, Gotham Concrete in New York, or Express Concrete in London, or RDC in India, can all supply concrete online through Concrete Broker, much the same way that we are doing it through Concrete Shopper in Australia.
Tim, that's an unbelievably large amount of stuff. I mean, you might even need a concrete truck just to carry around all those ideas there. It's going to be a very busy future for you, I'd imagine, mate. But look, really fascinating insights. Certainly a bunch of stuff that I wasn't aware of for the concrete industry. So I really appreciate your time today.
No, thank you so much for your time.
Well, look, hopefully we can catch up soon as well, because I'd love to hear how all those new plans work out for you as well over the next sort of 12 months and 18 months even.
No, thank you. Thank you. Happy concreting.
I might leave the DIY projects alone and let some of those tradies take over. I do not have the hands for it. That's Tim Harrison, spokesperson for Concrete Brokers. And in case you missed any part of that chat, or you'd like to check it out again, just head across to our YouTube channel, 𝐊𝐴 Media, and you'll be able to find it within 24 hours, in addition to our entire catalogue of expert talks. I'm James Preston for 𝐊𝐴 TV, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with 𝐊𝐴.